Hi, my name is Cat Kerr, and today I'm going to be creating colorful pinwheels using matte Dura-Lar film. Today I'll be adding color with alcohol inks. I pick out whatever colors I'm going to use, and here I'm just applying them directly onto the top of this sheet of matte Dura-Lar film. Now the goal is to cover it completely because I'm going to be making two pinwheels. I'm using two pieces of matte Dura-Lar film, and instead of covering both of them with alcohol inks, I'm just actually applying that second layer of film directly on top of the first one, picking up some of that alcohol ink before it dries. Now for some additional texture, I'm just adding some more of that alcohol ink, and I do end up at the last minute using this hot pink for a little extra pop of color. Now here I'm creating my second pair of sheets. I picked out some new colors, that beautiful turquoise and that brass color, and I'm applying it the same way that I did the first two. Now this time around I'm adding rubbing alcohol to create additional texture onto the pages, and this is what they look like once they dry. Now even though these are covered in alcohol inks, you can still see that semi-translucent quality that the matte Dura-Lar film has. Now in order to begin the pinwheels, I'm first cutting these sheets down to 8 by 8. You can really make these any size you want. 8, this was just my preference, but really any square size will work. Next, I'm folding that square corner to corner, and I am using a bone folder because it's still plastic and it does take a little bit for it to stay in place. So I'm using that bone folder, and then I'm marking 3 centimeters from the circle on all 4 sides. And then I take a pair of scissors and just cut up to that mark. Next, I'm using a sheet of double tack dry adhesive film, and I'm cutting it into these little tiny pieces of adhesive, and double tack has a protective layer on both sides, and so I first peel off one side exposing the adhesive, and I apply it to the corner of my triangle, and then I place another corner directly on top of it, adhering the two pieces together, and I continue to do that with all 4 corners of my pinwheel. Next, I cut out some small circles to go in the center of the pinwheel, and I also cut out some pieces of double tack dry adhesive to place on the back of them so that I can adhere them to the pinwheel. One of the things that I love most about double tack dry adhesive film is that I don't have to wait for any adhesive to dry. It's awesome. Next, I'll use an awl to pierce a hole through the front and back of that pinwheel. Next, I'm drilling this small hole in this dowel that I'm going to use as the base of my pinwheels, and I needed to spruce them up just a little bit, so I had some leftover paint from another project, so here I'm just adding some happy color to the dowels. And in order to assemble them, I'm just taking a regular pin and putting it through the holes on the pinwheel, then through the dowel, and I cut up a little piece of eraser and I'm using that as my stopper. Lastly, I cut out some leaf shapes using that turquoise sheet again, and I folded it in half, just pierced some holes, and I attached them to the dowel using a small piece of wire and just wrapping it around the dowel. These weren't really meant to be flowers, but it just felt like it needed the leaves, so I just went with it. Now, I made these because I wanted to add some color to my plants, and I knew that they had to be somewhat durable because I was going to put them outside, and I thought that paper would disintegrate over time, and so that's why I decided to go with the matte Dura-Lar film. It's extremely durable, and I really love that semi-translucent quality because when the sun hits them, they just look really gorgeous. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and for more ideas on how to use matte Dura-Lar film, make sure you check out grafixarts.com. Thanks for watching.